So, Tim Cook's legendary run as CEO of Apple is expected to wind down in the next few years, which means the company is getting ready for its next big chapter. And, the question of who's going to take the helm is easily one of the most important in all of tech. Well, the frontrunner is a guy named John Ternus, and his appointment really signals a major shift for the company. So, let's dive in and find out who he is and what this change really means for Apple.
And to really get the weight of this change, just look at this number. During his time as CEO, Tim Cook added a mind-boggling $4 trillion to Apple's market value. I mean, those are some of the biggest shoes in corporate history to fill, no question.
And that really gets us to the main question of this explainer, right? Picking a successor isn't just about putting a new name on the CEO's door. It's a huge statement about strategy. So what is Apple's choice telling us about where the most valuable company in the world is headed?
Well, the answer really starts with the man himself, John Ternus. And if there's just one thing you need to know about him, it's that he is, through and through, the hardware guy.
This right here is what it all boils down to. It's the fundamental shift happening at Apple. Tim Cook, well, he was a master of operations, an absolute genius who built this unshakable global supply chain. John Ternus, on the other hand, comes from the world of product engineering. This isn't just a personnel change. It's a pivot in the company's entire philosophy.
And make no mistake, he's no newcomer. Ternus is what you'd call an Apple lifer. He joined the product design team way back in 2001 and has had his fingerprints on pretty much every major product since. He helped launch the very first iPad, he led the team that developed AirPods, and this is a big one, he was the key figure behind one of Apple's toughest and most successful projects ever, the transition from Intel chips to its own custom Apple Silicon in Macs. I mean, this wasn't just swapping a part. It was a massive engineering undertaking that completely redefined the performance and potential of the whole Mac lineup.
Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg, he really nailed it with this quote. For a company where the vast majority of its money comes from hardware, putting a hardware expert in charge just seems like a really logical move. He's seen as that steady hand, the engineer who just gets how all the pieces fit together.
Okay, so you've got this hardware guy. The crucial question is, why make this shift now? Well, it's because Apple is facing a whole new set of challenges, where an engineer's mindset might be exactly what the doctor ordered. Let's take a look at what's on his to-do list.
Challenge number 1, the iPhone. It's still a massive, massive success, bringing in over half of all of Apple's revenue. But here's the thing. The smartphone market is mature. It's not growing like it used to. So for Apple to keep getting bigger, it desperately needs to find its next big thing. And that means diversifying away from being the iPhone company.
And this is exactly where a product guy like Ternus is supposed to shine. Apple is reportedly exploring a whole new range of hardware. We're talking personal robotics, a much deeper push into smart home devices, that long-rumored foldable iPhone, and even AR glasses. These aren't just gadgets, they're incredibly complex problems of what experts call system coherence, basically making hardware, software, and services all work together so seamlessly that it feels like magic.
And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room, the AI race. And let's be honest, Apple has been playing catch-up. I mean, look at this journey. Siri fell way behind its rivals, the company's own Apple Intelligence got delayed, and they actually ended up partnering with Google to power some AI features with Gemini. So the ball is now squarely in Ternus's court to finally get this technology integrated seamlessly and deliver something that actually feels like Apple.
But see, for Apple, AI isn't just a software problem. The real challenge, as analysts see it, is to embed that intelligence so deeply into the hardware that it feels invisible. That is a classic engineering puzzle. How do you manage power consumption, latency, and on-device privacy while running these powerful AI models? That's a systems-level question, and it is right up Ternus's alley. And on top of all that, he's inheriting this incredibly tangled global mess. Tim Cook was a master diplomat, right? He navigated tariffs in the US, managed access to that huge Chinese market, and dealt with all this regulatory pressure in Europe. Ternus will have to learn that same delicate dance. But his deep understanding of engineering and manufacturing could be a huge asset as Apple tries to diversify its supply chain and respond to all these new rules.
But here's the thing. While his engineering background points to a big shift, you have to remember, Ternus has been at Apple for 25 years. He's not an outsider coming in to shake things up, and that means we can also expect a deep sense of continuity with the company's core values.
First up, and this is a big one, that legendary focus on design, yeah, that's not going anywhere.
In fact, Ternus recently took on the role of executive sponsor for design, and he personally briefs the board on new projects. He's already told employees that design is going to remain core to everything Apple does.
Number 2, another absolute non-negotiable, privacy and security. This was a defining feature of the Tim Cook era, and Ternus has made it crystal clear that this commitment is going to continue. I mean, it's basically baked into Apple's DNA at this point. And third, you can bet Apple's big environmental goals are here to stay. Ternus has pledged to continue the mission to make the entire company and its supply chain completely carbon neutral by 2030. These are core values, and they are not up for debate.
Okay, this is super interesting. We actually have a quote from Ternus himself that gives us a peek right into his product philosophy. When he was asked about the whole right to repair debate, he argued that Apple prioritizes durability over simple repairability. His logic? The best product is one that doesn't need to be repaired in the first place. And that just brilliantly illustrates his engineer's brain, focusing on longevity and the integrity of the whole system.
So okay, let's put all the pieces together here. When you look at the new challenges and these unchanging values, what you really see is a major strategic pivot for Apple, one that's actually been years in the making.
So what is this big pivot? Let's just state it plainly. Apple is moving from an era defined by operational mastery under Tim Cook to a new era that puts product engineering and that seamless integration of hardware and software, that system coherence, right back at the very center of its strategy.
And I want to leave you with this one last detail, because it just feels so perfect. Back when he was in college, Ternus's senior engineering project was a robotic arm designed to help people with quadriplegia. It's just a really powerful story that connects his deep engineering roots directly to the kinds of ambitious, human-focused products Apple is rumored to be exploring now in personal robotics.
And all of this leaves us with one big, fascinating question. By putting a product-focused engineer in the top job, is Apple consciously pivoting away from the era of the operator and back towards the spirit of its visionary founder, Steve Jobs? That's a question the next decade of technology is definitely going to answer.